Okay, so I wanna make sure we're good to go before testing. Okay, so I wanna. Okay, I think we're good. I gotta go quick on this one. So if people miss this or if people coming in, I'm just gonna get right into it here in a moment. Because I don't have much time. I have about 40 minutes tops. So we have a couple topics here that I'm going to be getting into. I just want a couple people to at least be coming through before I just jump super into it. But this will definitely be something that will be on the channel. You can watch later. But I wanted to get this stream out even though I'm starting way later than I would normally do this. But we have a couple topics that are worth talking about. Hello, how are you? So we got people coming in. I want to start quickly, but I don't want to start too quickly. So, but we're back on here. I'm going to be doing more of these live streams. I like live streaming with an actual intention instead of just like flicking on the stream and just playing the game. I want to actually have topics that I want to talk about, get into it, and then get out of here. So, what up, Speedwagon? How you doing? Yeah, Bingo machines are where it's at. It's dope that they've been putting these out a lot more frequently as they were before. Seems like one came out, then they didn't do it for a long time, and then now they've been really cycling them through. So, all right, I'm gonna get into it. I think we got enough people in here. Okay, so one thing I do want to say before I begin anything is that I'm gonna be covering the new game mode, the guild thing here tomorrow probably. I want to have a day with it before I actually start talking about it. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about today probably just gonna be wrong, so I figured it'd be better to talk about that tomorrow, maybe even in a couple days from now. So, and then I'm on the Korean account, so this is 2 weeks in advance. So before anyone asks that question, 2 weeks ahead of time from the NA or the global release versions of this game, so that's why things potentially could look different. And the two topics that we're going to be covering today are going to be the new basic hero. We're going to be breaking down this character and seeing if this character is actually worth playing for. And then also we're going to be talking about here, let me find it. I had a couple other things. Then we had the basic banner. There's 4 new basic. Is this banner actually worth pulling for? Essentially, there's going to be 4 basic heroes. I think I'm a little disappointed that there's no future knight, but potentially there could be some characters worth pulling for on this banner. I don't know, but I want to look into it here. And then, yeah, I think Garam is definitely worth summoning for. Great character. Still really good. So, you know, not necessarily as good as he once was, but from a damage perspective, if you're looking for like one of the best raid heroes, I think the water team's the best character, and he's the best character on the water team. So he's from raw damage, he's great. Then the more water characters that are coming out, especially with like Orca and stuff like that, like the water team is in a way better spot. So then lastly, if we have time, I'm going to do an offer review for the packs in here. I figured every time that they refresh the shop, I'll do an offer review. So if we have time, we'll do that. But the first thing and the most important thing is going to be talking about the new hero. And here's the new character, and I figured I would show this kind of summoning animation. So she has 2 modes. So this is her normal mode, and then this is a mode that's really important to talk about, where she changes and she kind of charges. She'll be faster, she'll take less damage. It's a really important part of her kit. And then her exclusive weapon is going to be increasing that duration of the time there. So just remember this aspect of her kit when she kind of changes in that thing. Like based on like reading her kit though from yesterday, I thought she would like fully transform into like a tiger or something, but for her to just kind of change, it's kind of lackluster in my opinion. But as you can see too, that she's applying a debuff, like that arrow that comes over their head. That's going to be important. That's a really important part of her kit. Yeah, Maya's great with any element. You just throw her in and she's the best healer. So you can essentially put her in with almost any character in the game and she's going to be really good. Oh yeah, Agma's great. Agma is super worth it hero. Okay, so here, this is the character, and then here's kind of a sneak peek of what our next topic, which will be the banners. So Kana is going to be the main character. That's the new hero. And then Lon, Nari, and Sohi. And I feel like out of all these characters, Sohi and Nari are probably going to be the ones worth picking up potentially. Sohi though, I feel like it's kind of fallen off because her AI seems to have changed. She's not as good as she once was for some reason. But we'll get into that here in a moment. So new character, let's break down her kit. So my initial impressions of this character, and I think everyone's initial impressions that once you read the kit are going to be, she's 100% a raid hero, like definitely designed to just do a ton of damage, but I don't know how viable she's going to be in other game modes because she's melee. And looking at how she hits, it looks like she's a melee character, but potentially she's like a mix, and it's hard to tell. So swings a staff to inflict damage to enemies, and then here let's actually look at if her animation's always melee. I believe it's always melee, even though she has a staff. So even when she's in her base form, yeah, even in her base form, she's always melee. So it seems pretty clear. So I'll get into the question. So feel free to ask the questions. I'll get into them at the end. I want to get through these topics really quick because I don't have much time. So, but hey, if I have time at the end, I'll definitely answer questions. Maybe I'll just answer questions instead of doing an offer review. Okay. So back to the hero. So we know that she's melee, regardless of what form she's in, which in my opinion is a bummer. For basic at the moment is very range dominant, especially from the rating aspect. So being able to get a basic character that would also have been ranged would have been great. But because she's melee, I think that kind of, tempers expectations, is going to definitely change the basic team rating going forward. But let's actually read the kit and we can talk about where she's going to be used afterwards. Well, that's going to be the next topic, bro. Okay, so first thing, whoosh whoosh boom. That's apparently her move. It swings the staff to inflict damage to enemies, and then this is gonna be one of the major parts of her kit, which is this fluffy soft. Transforms into a tiger for 5 seconds. On whoosh whoosh boom's hit, while in fluffy soft, marks the enemies with a tiger emblem, and then that's where that big emblem over their head came from, for 6 seconds, and reduces defense by 5%. This effect overlaps up to 4 times. This is very similar to Mayriel, where it's an effect that overlaps 4 times. In this case scenario, you don't need a crit though to get that effect, which is nice, and it's a pretty long debuff at 6 seconds. Most debuffs are not that long in this game. And then the defense reduction up to 20%, that's very standard. I do like that it's the generic 20% defense reduction instead of a like basic reduction or something like that, but she has the 50% basic attack party buff, so she's essentially going to be tunneling herself into the basic team regardless. You're going to want other basic characters regardless, so that extra synergy there is not necessarily going to be used as much as you would like. Before we get further in the kit, I figured the base stats, the attack is decently high here at 1100. I would say this is definitely on the higher range of people's base attacks. Same with defense, 245. It's not like crazy high defense, but it's definitely on the high end. Like, to give you an idea, I know Camille is 301 and he's one of the highest. He's like top 5 in defense, so I want to say she's top 10 in defense just at a glance here with 245 defense. For a melee character, you kind of need something like that, or you're just going to be absolutely paper, or you're going to need, like in Scintilla's situation where she has the gauntlet, that's giving her a ton of base defense, so it makes her actually tanky, even though her base defense is like complete trash. So her being in that 200 range, absolutely needed. And then we'll look at the rest of her kit, and she's going to get even more damage reduction, which I think is going to come pretty clutch. And then her chain skill here, charges swiftly, scratches the target to inflict 360% of DPS damage. It's a pretty high modifier. It's going from anything to downed, which is great. And she's melee damage going into downed. It's really good. And then increases all allies basic attack by 30% for 5 seconds. I think that's fantastic, especially with an all basic team. Really good chain skill there. Fantastic. Usually chain skills for the most part are just mainly damage, and then being able to proc off anything is awesome, and getting the extra 30% basic attack type, really good too. Obviously, you're going to need to pair her with other basic characters. I think it's pretty clear at this point with her party buff and her chain skill that you're going to need other basic characters. I think she's going to pair really well with Idol Eva and probably Sohi, because, they're both melee characters, but I guess time will tell for sure on that. But I think it's pretty clear that that's going to be the direction you're going to need to go. And then And maybe even Amy too, you know, the rare character, the rare melee basic character. She just got her EX about, like, I don't know, 2 months ago. She's a melee character. Maybe she'll pair well with her as well. So then lastly, special ability decreases damage taken by 30% while in Fluffy Soft. I think that's insane. 30% damage reduction. That's, most of these are defense, whereas just getting on a already pretty tanky character, a relatively tanky character, getting that 30% damage reduction is insane. Even though we're gonna have to see how long the cooldown is. This is something that's unfortunate when it comes to these. I would need the character to be able to test the cooldown. But seeing how long the cooldown is on Fluffy Soft, if it's actually a pretty realistic cooldown, then she's essentially going to always be in this 30% damage decrease state, which is just insane in my opinion. So I think she's gonna be really good. So far, really good raid character, but maybe potentially an actual good character for arena. Potentially, I think she's just gonna get completely melted regardless in Coliseum. I don't think she's gonna do good in Coliseum. I think she could be a decent like progression character, but at the moment, solid maybe on arena, but definitely on raiding, in my opinion. Which means that she's kind of late game. She's definitely a late game character, or like a super early game character if you just happen to pull her, and then you can base your team around like mono basic, and she'd probably be good. And then also increases movement speed by 20%. I think that's going to be insane for her passive is specifically like an arena style passive. Like movement speed and defense reduction are some of the best things you could possibly do, because the movement speed is going to lend into her being able to hit her weapon skill. And if she has a good weapon skill animation, I really think she's going to be good in arena. And then her basic typing means that she's going to have good matchups against a lot of really good characters and light characters. It means she's going to have a lot of bad matchups with really good dark characters too. So that's definitely going to be a problem. But there's already Arena who's taken over the meta with basic. So you're kind of lending yourself to a really basic heavy team, which is a tough sell probably. But I think she could get some play. Thanks again, I appreciate it. Okay, so overall, I'm happy with this character. I think it's this solid character. I think for most people, she's probably a skip, not because she's bad, but because she's too niche. And right now we have a really good banner with a lot of absolute S tier / God tier characters on it. So it's not many people are going to be in a situation where they're looking for this character unless they're late game and they want a good raid character for their basic faction. Or they just want a solid arena character, but time will tell if she's actually good in arena. So then the exclusive weapon here is increases Fluffy Soft's duration time by 2 seconds, which I think is going to make a massive difference because already I believe it lasts 5 seconds. So if I had to guess, the cooldown is probably anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds is my guess on Fluffy Soft. So she might have a downtime, maybe that would make it to where she's never at a downtime, because most of the time when it comes to these defense reduction effects, they'll find a way to make sure you're always applying it. Like Orca with her exclusive weapon, she always applies it. Lilith with her exclusive weapon always applies it. Same with Beth, same with Gabriel, Mayriel even. All these people always apply it. So I can see the cooldown not being longer than the duration of Fluffy Soft. So she's essentially always in that thing, but you have to pay for it. Like you have to get the exclusive weapon to be able to get that effect. And then lastly, deals additional 40% DPS with 30% chance, and then stomps on and then her weapon skill, it's a pretty high damaging weapon skill here, which stomps on the enemy with a tiger's foot to inflict damage around the target, puts enemies in an injured state. So it's not like a crazy long regen time, but it's not a quick one either. So it's kind of in that middle range there. So probably gonna need some weapon skill regen speed on her, but at the same time she gets pretty tanky from the base stats and has good weapon skill regen speed on the exclusive weapons. So this is going to be one of those weapons here where you're going to want to invest some option change stones to get a max roll, because there's a lot of potential there with this weapon. And if I can scroll down, my emulator's crashing on me, so I can't scroll down here, but I don't know if there's another ability, maybe some like skill damage down here on the optional effect, but I'm not sure. So yeah, but I think so far a pretty solid hero. Good base stats, you have the good base stats, good effects, good debuffs, good buffs on herself. Overall, for a basic character, if you had to be stuck in the basic, I would have preferred a crit rate buff on her party skill. That would have made her so sick, in my opinion. That would have made her fit with almost anyone. Even though she's a melee character, I would probably put her on the range basic team, but I'm not sure. So that's what I'm thinking here. But when it comes to this, I gotta kill my emulator. Gotta, LD player, download it, support the channel. Even though it's, I don't know about you guys, but this emulator has been completely shitting the bed for me, like hard for the past I don't know, 2-3 weeks. Let me know in the comments if or in the chat if you've been feeling the same way. But I've had to like reset Guardian Tales like 5 times and then okay, finally it works, kind of thing. This is one of the few times where it's worked the first time, which is great, but it's annoying that it keeps crashing on me. Okay, so I think that kind of covers her. That's my first impressions on her. As I get more information on her, I'm definitely going to cover her a little bit more. Maybe I'll even pull for her. I'll probably have to pull for her on the main account. On the free to play, I can't swing a basic character. The characters I pulled, maybe I can actually swing a basic character. Now that I think about it, maybe I go mono basic. Even though I have Camille, I go mono basic. That'd actually be kind of sick. Imagine a team of her, Arena, and then I would put in Knight, and then maybe Amy, and then that'd be kind of fun. Oh, we're getting to that, bro. We're getting to that. And so I just wanted to kind of finish up on talking about her. But yeah, I think that pretty much closes out. So now let's look at the other banners. So here, let's actually change this up. Which one are we doing? Okay, this one right here. So here's the new banner. Let's talk about the new heroes in the off banners. So new character in Kana, I think it seems pretty decent. Maybe not going to be a game changer, but for basic rating, I think she's going to be definitely added to the raid team there. Okay, and then Lan is going to be on the off banner. We have Nari, and then we also have Beach Sohee. So the first thing that stands out to me is I would have preferred a Future Knight on here for a basic banner. I think she's definitely the staple basic character at the moment. Maybe that will change with the introduction of Kana plus Seaside Sohee. Maybe it's going to be more of a melee oriented team nowadays, but oh, okay, hero. Well, it's good to know that it's just emulators in general. I don't know what's going on, but so at the moment, when I look at this banner, my first initial thing is that I'm disappointed that there's no Future Knight. I still think Future Knight's a good character. Maybe not one of the best heroes in the game, but I like that she's unique. She has the weapon skill regen speed on a ranged hero. She has the that one effect where she can like dodge an attack. She can eat an attack for free, with that kind of protection bubble. I like the character. She's fun to play. So it would have been nice to have a Future Knight on the banner. But with all that being said, I think some of the most effective basic heroes on this banner in Nari, I think Nari's an overall really great hero. Put her on the top 10 heroes of October. I think she's still a really good character. She might not excel at like the top of the list. She's probably not like a top arena character or a top Coliseum character, but she's so good at every single thing in the game that I still think she deserves to be in the top 10 list. And then the big thing though that I want to talk about Beach Sohee, I didn't get a chance to talk about this in the top 10 list. I just forgot to bring her up. She was a top 10 hero because people in the comments are saying that I'm sleeping on her. I think she's a great character. She was in my last top 10 list, and she was the one that I knocked out for Camille out of the top 10. Because when you look at her usability currently in Arena, she used to be used a ton. Like the typical melee meta team was Sohee, Future Princess, and Lilith. But then when the introduction of Arena is so good that people are putting her on, but she's basic, so it's not necessarily that Sohee's bad. She just doesn't fit in the typical team at the moment. So, but at the same time though, she had a ton of viability in Coliseum, and I don't know what happened with her AI, but I've just noticed that she is so much easier to play against. Like I have footage of trying to taunt her when she first came out, and the taunt would go up, the debuff would happen with her taunt, and she would just ignore it and go straight to your backline and just would melt your MK99 or whatever backline unit you had. And she was really scary in Coliseum at the time. And then nowadays, if you try playing against her, it's super easy. Like any character I have just taunts her, and she won't even try to go after she's taunted and hits your front line. She won't go back to the back line, at least in my experience. Like she'll just, and she's when she's in that situation, she gets hit with a weapon skill. Usually she just dies immediately anyway. So I feel like her Coliseum viability died down significantly because of that. And then at least on my NA account, I don't see her anywhere in the top 100. So I don't know. I think this is kind of weird. If you guys have had that same experience, I need to get further in my free-to-play account to be able to see the Coliseum, you know, kind of meta report on my specific shard in Korea. But at the same time, it's just bizarre to me that they just, it seems like they ninja nerfed her AI. Which I think is a little bizarre. So that's why for those reasons, that's why I think she drops out of the top 10 as a character. I still think she's a good character. I really like her passive. It makes a big difference in her survivability, especially when she's the lead and you get that extra health. The more health you have, the more that passive is going to make a difference. So I still think she's a good character. I still think she's a solid arena character, solid Coliseum character, but I think her viability has really dropped off a cliff because of that. She's still going to be good for progression. You know, so solid character, solid pickup. I would understand if people went for her, especially if you're going all in. Like, let's say this Kana is good as advertised for the basic faction. You already have, you know, you're looking for the melee basic characters. You ended up pulling her. I can see you also wanting to pull for Sohi as well to go full melee side of this team comp here. But other than that, you know, when I look at this rated banner, especially compared to the current one we have on NA, this one's pretty lackluster. Because if you told me I can also pull for Future Princess and Agma and Maya, and then you showed me these characters, I'm not gonna save gems now for these characters. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull as many times as I possibly can for Maya, Agma, Future Princess, MK99, Garam even. You know, I think there's probably about 5 to 6 characters on the current banner that I would prioritize over the banner, the characters here. Unless you just happen to pull a ton of basic characters already, like you already have Nara, you already have Queen Idol Eva, you already have Future Knight, then sure, then maybe this banner is worth doing, because you could pull Kana, and you could pull you know, Beach Sohi and go full basic potentially. So but that's just kind of my thoughts on this current banner. What do you guys think? Are you guys getting, so right now when it comes to, so just kind of my final thoughts on both things. This character here, I think this is a tentative non-pull. It depends on how good she is in arena. I don't think she really fits in the current meta with arena being so dominant. It's going to take a really good, not only a good basic hero, but a great basic hero to ever dethrone arena on that team. Because it's all, if you're picking her, then you're also kind of implying that you'd be removing arena, or you'd be fully committing to basic. It's one or the other. You know, but that's like the most optimal. Like, not many people have arena, so you can argue that maybe she's worth picking up because she's another character that's going to do really good against you know, Future Princess, for example. She'll also have good matchups against MK99, but at the same time, then you're kind of screwing the rest of your team because she's 50% basic. So the party skill really limits the amount of team comps you can really run with her. Yeah. And then when you look at the banners that are currently going on, the characters are so much better over there. Like, Maya's absolutely necessary for, you know, like what Bojack's saying. Maya's absolutely necessary for Orbital Lift and possibly Camazone. I think she's absolutely necessary for Camazone for most people. Like, eventually when you get to, you know, super late game and you have so many different comps, I don't use Maya all the time, but if I just were gonna throw in a character, you know, for a healer, the best overall healer, I'm just gonna throw in Maya, like, just because it's easy and I could just clear the hardest stages with her, and it always works out. But so for the average player, or the, you know, free to play light spender, I think Maya is essentially necessary at this point, because she's just so much more valuable than any other healer, that she's just a essentially must pull compared to something like this, where it's, you got to debate the viability of the character. You could Kana with Arena and Sohi. for Kahlo. Yeah, I think that, yeah, there's potential for a good all basic team at the moment. You can like what Future Princess and then all basic characters or something like that, depending on how good the weapon skill is on some of the other basic heroes. And some people have been putting a Lawn in the leadership spot, so potentially could be all basic. And there's really not that many dark heroes, except you probably get beat by Arabelle lead teams, but for the most part dark heroes don't really make it except tanks. So like the dark tanks are really good and they're super meta in Colosseum, but not necessarily dark damage dealers. I would say for 3 heroes, I think that's really good. Or it probably, because like the absolute worst case scenario, if you wanted to like almost virtually guarantee the character plus weapon, is 50k gems. I would say on average for a for a pull is every 4 pulls, but you mean you could get screwed. So the captain did that math. 50k gems is what he says is what you could expect to get both. You know, so it's he always says you budget 50k gems. So if you got 3 in 80k, I wouldn't say that's great luck, but it's not bad. Yeah, I agree, Joe. If they get one more ranged dark character that's not MK2, then I think that'd be fantastic. So those are the 2 points there. A couple questions at the end. Unfortunately, I gotta end this stream way earlier than I would like to, but I gotta bounce. I got work here, so I'm gonna end it here, but we'll be back tomorrow. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about tomorrow, probably more stuff on the basic characters and the new game mode, which I think is really interesting. And I'm pretty excited for this Reservoir Snakes. I think this is really cool. This whole what, Conquest? Yeah, Conquest. I think there's a lot of strategy here and a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So hopefully you guys are in guilds, because I think the guild aspect in this game, it's a little repetitive, but it's actually pretty fun, and it keeps the game exciting, and you can actually talk with people that are passionate about the game and stuff. So if you're not in a guild, definitely try to find a guild. We have a way to recruit people on the Discord. There's a whole bunch of resources there if you're trying to find a guild. So I think this is great content that I'm excited to dive into tomorrow. So with all that being said, guys, I'm gonna call it here. You guys have a good rest of your day, and I am out of here. Peace.